Okay, today we're going to talk about how to embody your unique charisma. Oh, charisma is literally one of my favorite topics because there's so many tips about how to be charismatic online, and a lot of it is honestly bullshit. They will give you a way to act more charismatic, but you won't actually be more charismatic. And I'll explain a little bit in this video. So if you Google how to be more charismatic, you'll see tips like be a good listener, make eye contact, learn how to build rapport with people, learn how to be engaging in a conversation, make people feel seen and heard. Now, these are all wonderful skills you can learn to seem more charismatic, but skills is only 10% of the equation. These skills can give you the charisma, but it is substance that truly earns you the influence and respect. Also, true charisma is seen when there are challenging situations, like when the service staff speaks to you in an impatient way, or when things don't go according to plan in a team meeting, or when the conversation in an event or a meeting is getting derailed and there needs to be someone to lead the conversation and to manage the energy in that space. Someone that is truly charismatic will be able to effortlessly and almost like intuitively shift the energy in the space and lead it in a way that serves the people in the space and not to like serve their ego. Whereas someone that is just acting charismatic, they're not truly confident or charismatic inside, they're just acting charismatic. What happens is it's sort of like they're performing these acts for charisma, but you feel like something is off. True charisma is reflected in the energy that you bring into the room and how you shift the existing energy. It is shown in the way you lead conversations, handle questions, manage unpredictable challenges. It is not what you're doing, it is how you're being. It is seen in how comfortable you are in your skin, how you're showing multiple facets of your being and not just being one-dimensional and acting a certain way all the time, but you're very comfortable showing different parts of you, even the vulnerable parts of you or commonly less attractive part of you. You will just show up as who you are. It is seen in how you handle fame, success, and recognition. Substance gives you that effortless and authentic gravitas when you speak and enter the room. The biggest mistake that people make when they're trying to work on their own charisma is they get distracted by someone else's charisma so much that they don't take time to reflect and to assess themselves to identify what about them has the potential to make them effortlessly charismatic. I like to talk about charisma as your unique presence. So like, how do you develop charisma? Charisma is different for different people, right? So each and every one of us, we have our unique presence. We have a unique aura. And this unique aura, when we are truly accepting and embodying that uniqueness and being totally okay showing up as ourselves, that's when you would have that natural charisma, the natural allure and draw. If you look at the people in your life that you admire and you feel are naturally charismatic, do they all show up and speak up the same way? They don't, right? I have one friend of mine who's super bubbly, extroverted. She has this like star personality. Like she's actually a star, but yeah, and she has star personality. So the minute she walks into a room, she has this like vibrance, but she's also very grounded and humble. So that extroverted star personality, that's what makes her so charismatic. Then there's this other friend of mine who I also feel is really, really charismatic that's completely different. She has this very zen guru vibe. She doesn't speak a lot because she only chooses to speak when she has something to say. She doesn't feel the need to be heard, if that makes sense. And 70% of the time, it is her gaze and her active listening that creates that sense of gravitas. And her voice is like a protective mother's hug. And then I have this other friend of mine that is really charismatic because she has this playful yet wise energy. So these are all friends of mine and they all have their unique blend of like character traits and personality that I would coin as your unique presence, and that is what makes them all charismatic but in their own unique way. Here are two important truths you need to know about charisma. Number one, we tend to admire traits we think we don't have. For example, if you feel like you're naturally introverted and introspective, you may admire someone that's more outwardly expressive, who connects to strangers easily. You cannot recognize traits you don't already possess. This universal truth blew my mind. Like when one of my first few mentors told me this, I didn't believe him. But when I really took time to observe the traits that I admire in people and feel like I don't have, and I really asked myself, how do I already possess that trait? I realized that I have already possessed that trait just in a different way. It's the same thing as you can't understand words you don't already have the vocabulary for. If you can recognize a particular trait in someone, for example, being a good connector, it means that you also possess this trait. You simply express it in a different way. So often, society and social media glorifies a one-dimensional definition of something. Like beauty is tall and thin, broad shoulders, charisma is big, loud, extroverted. But your one-dimensional definition is likely shaped by the current social circle that you're in, or the social circle that you've been brought up in. So you need to step out of your circle and explore other circles, and you'll find diversity. The second truth you need to know about charisma is that our unique presence, aka charisma, is a natural filter. What's attractive to you may not be attractive to someone else, right? Like, I'm sure you have friends that will go like, oh my gosh, that guy is so hot, or oh my goodness, that girl is so beautiful, and in your mind you're thinking, not really, not to me, I'm not attracted to this person. It's the same as charisma. Like, what's charismatic to you might not be charismatic to someone else. When you identify and develop your own brand of charisma, you will attract people who like you, and you'll repel people who don't. Your unique presence is a natural filter. Here are 3 questions to help you identify your own version of charisma. Number 1, you want to think of a few people you admire or look up to. What exactly do you admire about them? What are their character traits, their personality traits, skill sets, or values that are attractive to you? List them down. List all of these down. I want you to draw a table with 2 columns. And in the first column, we have the traits that you find charismatic. In the second column, this is number 2, go down the list and ask yourself, in what ways do I already own or express this trait? So, for example, if you admire someone's dedication and mastery of their craft, ask yourself, in what ways do I already possess dedication and mastery to my craft? Question number 3, what are some of my quirks that make me unapologetically me? So if you struggle with this question, it's probably helpful to ask some of your friends, because sometimes we are like unaware or blind to our own natural strengths, our own natural personality traits. Like, for example, for me, it's so easy for me to connect with people, and I tend to be really bubbly and bubbly and sunshine-like. And I thought that's like just me. I don't think it was anything special, but only when people told me that they really liked that about me, and that's what drew me to them, I was like, oh, okay, so this is something about my unique presence that I didn't realize about. So asking yourself those 3 questions will help you identify a little bit about what your unique charisma is. But how do you embody real charisma? Like, what is it that you got to do as a habit, as a routine, so that you can embody that real charisma? There are 3 things that you got to do. Number 1 is charismatic people have a very clear sense of self. So you want to have a clear sense of self, or work on having a clear sense of self. This is knowing who you are, what compels you, what you stand for, and being confident in it. Second thing is charismatic people express themselves with unapologetic authenticity. And if people don't vibe, they simply don't hang out with them. So this is the thing, right? You want to ask yourself, is there anybody in your life now that you're just hanging out with because you feel like you have to? And if you can, cut those people out. Because the more you hang around people that you don't vibe with, the less you can show up authentically, and the less you will embody your unique charisma. The third thing you want to do, and this is a skill for you to embody real charisma, is to learn effortless adaptability. This is understanding the context and the environment you're in, and how you're required to show up in that context. Because we're all complex, multifaceted beings. Like, I have my formal expert side, I have my childlike playful side, I have my comedic side, and some context, some environment may require us to show one particular side or two or three particular sides, and the goal is mastering how to show up in a way that both suits the context and retains our authenticity. So TLDR, charisma comes effortlessly when we are self-assured. It is when we're comfortable in our own skin that we speak up and show up in our own brand of allure and charisma. And most importantly, charisma comes effortlessly when you're not trying to be charismatic. Okay, here's the thing. If you're trying to be more charismatic, you're not actually charismatic, you are performing charisma. So you might be thinking, okay, Ray, like, how do I have a clearer sense of self? How can I work on that? I'm going to tell you, right? This is what you can do. These are some of your focuses. I'm going to give you 3 things. Number 1 is to experience life fully. Charisma does not come by simply being book smart or earning those credentials. Charisma comes with a deep knowing of your sense of self, which comes with experiencing life's up and downs. Don't avoid the lows. A lot of people avoid the tough times. They avoid feeling the feelings that they feel in the tough times, like the frustration, the resentment, the annoyance, the shame. They pack those feelings up, squeeze them somewhere, shove them down so that they don't have to meet it or like experience it. But when you don't allow yourself to experience your feelings, then you won't know yourself very well. You won't grow very well. You won't evolve as a person, right? So don't avoid the lows. Experience your emotions. Hard times are opportunities for you to reflect and grow in order to grow that deeper relationship with yourself, so that you can grow that deeper knowing of your sense of self. Most people tend to avoid their emotions. They distract themselves with work, right? With overworking, over-exercising, over-traveling. By the way, these are things that are totally okay to do. Like going to the gym is great. Traveling is great. Working, especially if you're very passionate about it, is great. But you gotta ask yourself, are you doing them as a distraction? Because maybe if you're really honest with yourself, you realize that you're doing all of these things excessively to distract yourself, or you're not making time to experience your emotions. You're not making time to reflect. You're not making time to unpack the emotions that you've been stuffing deep down your throat. So don't avoid the lows. Don't avoid feeling those emotions, but also don't rush the highs. We tend to hustle a lot and not really take the time to celebrate ourselves. So you want to experience the full spectrum of emotions, both ends, the highs and the lows. The second thing is to build a trusting relationship with your voice. People who have influence, people who have charisma, they trust their voice even if they don't have a full plan, even if they don't have all the answers, and especially in times of uncertainty. And that is what makes them so charismatic, because they take the lead, they shift the energy in the room effortlessly, and all of this is because they do that in their own lives, right? They themselves take the lead in their own lives. They shift their own energy, especially if they're spiraling or they meet failure and rejection. They've practiced enough times how to respond to failure, how to respond to tough situations in their own life. And that is why in team situations, they're able to do the same for others or for the team. The more open you are, the more willing you are to experience difficult emotions in your own personal life, the easier it is for you to lead teams in handling difficult situations at work, in your business, in the world. And the people who are the most charismatic are the ones who have gone through enough shit so that they can help people go through that shit. Building a relationship with your voice comes with consistent, deep reflection and reprogramming your thoughts to serve you. Last but not least, number 3 is to contribute by using your voice. If you do 1 and 2, you'll naturally have people coming up to you asking you for advice, and this gives you an opportunity to practice using your voice. People with charisma, they're so charismatic because they show up not caring about what other people think of them. When you choose to contribute with your voice, you'll tend to focus more on the impact you create over the opinions people have about you. And over time, you're going to take your impact to a whole new level by improving your speaking and storytelling skills, because the most influential people create permanent shifts in someone simply with their presence, their story, and their words. But that is for next time, unless you're already at that point in time where you are consistently contributing your voice, you're already writing, creating content, building a brand online, and you want to take it to the next level. That's why I also help people do in my coaching program. Okay, so I started this video by talking about skills versus substance. Substance earns you the influence and respect. It allows you to embody real charisma, whereas skills can help you seem more charismatic, but it's a good start. I'm personally a huge believer of when you shift the inner world, the outer world shifts. But of course, shifting the inner world takes time. It takes consistent inner work. So as you're working on the inner world, you can do certain things on the outside with your actions, your body language, and your voice. This way, you're practicing embodying charisma and confidence. So I'm going to share with you 5 ways that you can practice being more charismatic as you work on your inner world. Number 1, set an intention before you enter any environment. This keeps you focused on your intention instead of getting distracted by negative thoughts. Number 2 is to smile. Oh my goodness, guys. Like, smiling is literally a free way to add value to people. It's not that hard to smile. So develop the habit of smiling, especially when you're nervous, because smiling can actually trick your brain into being happy. Science has actually shown that the mere act of smiling can lift your mood up, lower stress, boost your immune system, and possibly even prolong your life. So there's so many benefits of smiling, plus it makes you more approachable. Number 3 is to practice intentional and focused breathing. The mark of true confidence and charisma honestly just boils down to how well you respond to situations. Because here's the thing, going through stressful and high pressure situations is normal, it's part of life. The question is, how are you handling it? So what you can do is to slow down your breathing, especially when you're in a high pressure situation. Your heart might be beating really fast, right? So what you can do is to intentionally slow down your breathing. Focus on your breathing and slow it down. When you are focused on slowing down your breathing, you will actually slow down your heartbeat, and this will calm you down. It also trains you to react slower, to speak slower. And I know that, in tough situations and stressful situations, your mind is running at like 100 miles per hour, and you start rambling, you start like fidgeting, you start waffling. When you focus on your breathing and you breathe intentionally, you slow down, what's happening is you're bringing yourself back to a more normal speed, a more balanced state. If you want to be confident, if you want to be charismatic, you need to be present first. And sometimes we can't even be present because we are so in our own heads. So when you practice focus and intentional breathing, you allow yourself to be present, which is the first step. Being present first, and then you can be more confident and charismatic. First step is to be present. Number 4, this is one that you probably won't hear a lot, is to practice directing the spotlight. So what does being in the spotlight means? Being in the spotlight literally means you are the center of attention. So that could happen in a networking event when you are introducing yourself, you're answering a question. When someone asks you a question, you're answering it. It could be when you are asking the question, that short bit of time when you're asking a question, you're in the spotlight. As long as people's eyes are on you, that is basically your definition of being in a spotlight. So in conversations, you want to train yourself to be in the spotlight by speaking up, by asking questions, by answering questions. But you also want to learn how to redirect the spotlight to someone else by asking a question. If you're someone that already speaks a lot naturally, this is very good practice, because being charismatic doesn't mean you speak all the time. So if you're speaking all the time and just dominating the conversation, people won't find you charismatic. Practice redirecting the spotlight so that someone else can also speak. If you're someone that tends to hold back on speaking up, then you want to take more initiative in asking questions or entering conversations, making comments, so that the spotlight will be on you. And then know your capacity. So if, let's say, speaking for about 1 minute is your capacity, then by the end of that 1 minute mark, when you start to feel uncomfortable, breathe down. Remember, focus on intentional breathing. Breathe. And you find yourself getting nervous, you find yourself having eyes on you for too long, think of a question you can ask someone in in the circle and redirect the spotlight to that person. Right? You can say like, hey Jeff, I remember that you're working in this particular industry. What do you think about what I just shared? Right? So you ask a question, so you redirect the spotlight. All in all, this goes to number 5. Allow attention to go where it's naturally called. You don't need to over control things. Flow with it, listen to your body. If you're curious, ask more. If you're bored, respectfully leave and enter another conversation. You don't need to force anything. Flow, don't force. Force is not charismatic. Flowing is charismatic. Okay, I feel like I've just given like a Charisma 101 masterclass, but this is really everything you need to be charismatic. To not just perform confidence, but truly embody confidence. So as you're performing confidence by doing those practical actions that I just shared with you, the 5 that I just shared, you can also work on embodying confidence by living life fully, building a relationship with your voice, basically everything that I shared in the first half of the video. I want to give you a reminder that it's okay to screw up. It's okay. Okay, like, was I naturally confident and naturally charismatic? It's so weird to say you're charismatic, but people tell me that, okay? But is it natural for me to be confident and to exude charisma? No, I wasn't like that. Now it's very natural for me. Now, even when I stumble and screw up, people still think I'm charismatic. Seriously, I did a presentation recently and it wasn't perfect. I did do some ums and ahs. I did kind of waffle around. I think I did like ramble a little bit. But people thought I did super well and they loved my sharing, right? And they felt like I was very charismatic. So it will become your natural state of being. Embodying genuine charisma will come when you do the things that I have mentioned. But as of now, it is okay to screw up. Like, we are all human. Enjoy the process of building a relationship with yourself. Enjoy the process of building this unique brand presence of yours. Enjoy the process of life, of being human, of practicing this new skill. And if you screw up, here are 3 tips I have for you. You can always return to this. So bookmark this, save this, put this somewhere in your notepad or something so you can come back to this video if you do feel a little bit low. Number 1, give yourself the permission to be authentic in the moment. Pause, breathe, and center yourself. Allow yourself to rest in the moment instead of feeling a need to blabber on, or instead of feeling the need to take control of the situation or to salvage what you have just shared. It's never going to work. If you think what you just said was weird or you screwed up and you try to salvage it, you're already in that state of fear of like trying to survive. So it's better to just like stop talking and breathe. Like, give yourself a chance to breathe. Pause, breathe, relax. Allow yourself to be authentic in the moment. Breathing gives you that supply of oxygen into your brain so you can start thinking clearly. And then once you're in that balanced state, you can speak your inner dialogue. You can say, oh wow, I just lost my train of thought. Jenna, do you want to go first? It's fine. You can be confident in your imperfection. You can be confident even if you have screwed up. You don't need to be confident and to be perfect all the time. Number 2 is to embrace the embarrassment or the screw up. Why is it bad to be embarrassed? It's fine. It's a normal human emotion. Embarrassing moments naturally calls people's attention. But if it's handled well, then you'll be seen as charismatic. So if you have screwed up, it doesn't end there. You can still salvage it by laughing it off, embracing that moment. Just laugh it off, smile about it, joke about it. There was this one time where I was hosting an event. So I'm a professional MC and I'm pretty young. So, just imagine this 23-year-old lady. I know, I guess I call myself a kid back then, but this 23-year-old girl emceeing an event in a very formal environment in front of an audience full of C-suites, entrepreneurs, executives. I was so nervous, and it was 8 a.m. in the morning. So people walked in with their coffees and they looked so tired. And my job as an MC is to raise the energy of the room. So I started speaking. I said, good morning. And my voice sounded so bad. I did practice. I did do voice warm-ups. But for some reason, my voice just cracked in the moment. So for most MCs, that could be a very embarrassing moment. And they might go like, sorry, right? Which is a fine response, right? You can say sorry, you can move on. But what I did was I said, oh my goodness, my voice hasn't had its coffee yet, I'm sorry. And people just laughed. I said my voice hasn't had its coffee yet. And I don't think it was like a funny joke. People just laughed. And then after, them laughing allowed me to take a pause and I just continued on. So embrace embarrassment. It's fine. Shake it off. Laugh it off. Joke about it and move on. Embarrassing moments can actually make you more charismatic if you handle it well. And last but not least, number 3, this is my favorite and it's a classic. It's what I always go back to. Anchor back on your intention. Ask yourself, what's my key intention here? What's my key intention when I'm delivering this presentation? What is my key intention that I've set before I entered the room? Is your intention to grow 1% out of your comfort zone? Okay, are you doing that? Are you growing 1%? Is your intention to feel more comfortable in your own skin? Okay, then it's not about the number of people you have met at this networking event. It's do you feel comfortable in your own skin? Is your intention to deliver just the intro itself very well, and the rest you still want to deliver well, but you just want to perfect the intro, and the rest you're gonna give yourself a little bit of an easier time. If that's the case and you've really done great for the intro, give yourself a mental clap, like a mental pat on the back. When you anchor on intention, it helps you focus on why you're here instead of obsessing about being perfect. The important principle here is this: what question are you asking yourself when you're in the embarrassing moment? If you're mentally asking yourself, oh my gosh, will people judge me? Will people talk behind my back? Will my reputation be affected? Then you'll most likely feel embarrassed. You feel like shit. You feel super self-conscious. Instead, why not ask yourself, how can I make this moment more fun? How can I make this moment an opportunity for me? How can I just brush this moment away and just move on? When you ask the right questions, you'll have better answers. Alright, that's all for today's video on how to embody real charisma. For more tips on how to own your voice, follow me on Instagram and subscribe to my newsletter. You may also read my blog posts on my websites, but I would suggest subscribing to my newsletter because I share all my best writing there. And I'll see you in the next video.